I'm gonna knuckleball you here again. So I'm gonna throw that one in there.
Oh man,
And
yeah,
yeah, here it is. All right, you ready? So you're talking about
yep,
the word exist.
yep,
Okay. So you have a dice controller, you have a dice shooter that you found that's really rolling off these numbers. He's hitting
yep,
box numbers, and you're not seeing the sporadic shotgun throws. You're not seeing
right,
a 2, a 4, an 11, a 6, but you're seeing somebody throw box numbers at a higher level than a typical, I hate to call random shooter, but call it a random
yeah,
shooter.
yep.
Okay. Does the trend of him throwing 6 6s or 5 6s out of 15 rolls, oh, I should start playing that 6? Should I start playing the 6 based on what he's
Yeah.
been throwing?
Should have been
You
playing
know
the
this is a
6,
question. You know
right,
this is
in the
coming,
beginning,
right?
for sure. So the thing about trending is this, and I said this on my show, and I'll try and explain it again. Trends are real, right? And I think the key thing about trends is that there's momentum behind them. So when I said on my show at the start of the whole thing, trends don't exist, that comes from this place. And the place of that is if there's a guy at the hook on the table and he throws, 2 6s and 7s out, and the guy next to him sets a point of 9 and goes 6 8 6 2 and 7s out.
Mhm.
Is the 6 trending? Because the third guy is throwing the dice from a different spot, different way. There's no trend there. I think there are people who look at that table and go, the 6 is hot. Let's go bet the 6. And I'm looking at that table going, there's 3 random ass people with 3 random ass sets of results. Good for them, right? If they're all hucking and chucking, there's no trend. It's a pocket, but there's no momentum behind that thing. Now, if there's somebody who's a quality shooter, if you're playing at a table with somebody who's practiced and who is an influencer and has proven to you they can shoot, and they start out with a point of 5 and they throw 6, 9, 5, 6, 8. 6. Yes, that's a trend.
Going to the inside.
They are causing the trend, right? Because they are influencing the dice and they're creating the momentum with their mechanics and what they're doing. Absolutely. When you got a shooter who's in a pocket, purposefully in a pocket with their mechanics and with their they're causing it to happen, 100% that's a trend. And you got to bet what's coming. That's the person I press on, right? If I'm at a table with a controlled shooter and they set a point of 8 and they throw a 9 and I'm in the inside, that 9's getting either a full press or at the very least a half press,
Mhm.
right? If I got the inside bet and it's Joe Schmo at the end who shake and bait and happen to get a 9, I'm pressing all the inside numbers because I don't know what's coming next.
But is that kind of coming
That's
against what what you said in the past? You said that you should not bet on what you've seen because you can't guarantee or say that he's going to roll that again. So
no, no.
you
What I'm
kind of
saying
are you
is
going against what you said or
no. What I'm saying is the controlled shooter who's more likely to be in a pocket is more likely to hit that number again. If he's in the inside with his setting and his throwing, I don't know which one he's going to hit, but he's more likely to be in this zone where the guy who's completely shaking him and chucking him is just as likely to throw a 2 as another 6. That guy, I would press across on. I'd spread my bets out on him and do a lighter press on all the numbers if I'm going to press at all versus same betting. Whereas a controlled shooter, I'm hammering what he's throwing because I think he's going to be a repeater guy. They're more likely to repeat than somebody else. That's how I see it. I don't like the word trend because trend again has that, you know, I think of like market trends. Like I think of like market trends or like a snowball going down a mountain where there's something behind it. Like in random nature, things don't trend. There's no pattern, no trending or patterning. And again, between 3 people in a row that are randomly throwing it, where's the trend in that? There is none. So yeah, I
think
believe
I
that
feel like
folks
I
who are
could
throwing it,
argue. I feel like I could
go for it.
argue that if you have several different people that are playing, then yes, I absolutely feel like that it's a possibility that the trend does not exist. But if you have somebody that's throwing the right exact same dice set, let's just call it the
Mhm.
I don't throw the 3V, but let's just say it's a
Sure.
3V, and he is literally throwing the exact same thing, the exact same pitch, the exact same toss. Then his rolls are maybe not trending, but they are causing the trend
Yeah, for
to the
sure.
inside box numbers, or they're trending to
100%.
4 10s. So in that case,
Yep.
trends kind of evolve into existing.
That's what I mean. But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You can, if you are setting the dice and throwing well, you are creating a trend. 100% you're creating a trend, and I'll die on that hill. It's the multiple random people that people say there's a trending 9 on the table, or the 7's hot today, or some other bullshit. That's where there's no such thing as a trend. If Gargoyle's throwing the dice and he's got, he's on the inside, he's created a trend. That's
Right.
what I'm saying is the real thing. That's a real trend when there's momentum or force behind it, and that momentum or force is your mechanics and your set. That's for real. And again, you got to use the right word in the right circumstance. Like a trend, a randomly occurring trend can't be a thing, but a purposeful mechanical trend can totally happen. And it's like real estate or fashion or anything else. When it gets momentum, and a good shooter will create momentum, I think that's where it's at. And I think
So
I
so
get
if that's the
misunderstood on
case,
this topic a lot because I don't explain that well enough. But yeah, you can create a trend. A random shooter cannot. Does that make
ooh,
sense?
oh,
That's where, and I think more than
you're gonna
that,
strike people with
multiple,
that one.
100%, and more to the point, multiple random shooters cannot, and multiple dice influencers cannot. I could be at a table with Toothpick Ted, Gargoyle, Ed, me, and George from CY, and when 1-7's out, the next guy to throw the dice is not in the same pattern the other guy was, right? He has to create his own trend. Does that make sense? Like each person's an independent animal. And successive random people cannot trend. And that's, I think, where I've watched people go, he's heavy he's throwing a lot of 5s are showing up. And this guy next to him threw a 5-4-9 and a 5-2 and a 5-3-8. I'm gonna go wheel the 5 on shooter number 3.
Mhm.
Right. I've seen people do that because the number 5 pips are trending. That's bullshit. That's where you're
So
gonna lose your shirt. You know what I'm saying?
so there's the 7. So I'm gonna not I don't even call it transition. So that's the case, and is there really such thing as a cold table? Right? Because I mean, if the
Yeah.
7's happening more often,
Mhm.
it could change at any point in time. But the trend is,
Sure.
hey, it's trending to be a cold table.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, is that
does that mean that it's true? A table can be cold in the rear view. The table has been cold. You can make that sentence all day long. The table has been cold. There have been, and matter of fact, 100% of the people before you 7'd out. Just putting it out there, right? Did they 7 out within 5 rolls? Yes. That makes the table quote unquote. You could describe the table as having been cold. But the very next shooter, does that mean that guy is going to be cold?
right?
No. There's zero causality between what the first 5 people did and what this guy's going to do. Now, some people will tell you that the vibe or energy of a table can affect that. Negative energy, bad vibe can keep a cold table, quote unquote, keep it cold. I don't believe that. I believe every person is an independent animal, and
Mhm.
what they do with the dice, especially if they're trying, can change the temperature of the table. Everybody's unique. And I think
Yeah, yeah,
whatever was trending on that guy ain't happening for this guy. And
yeah.
whatever the table, the last 50 shooters could have PSO'd, the next guy's throwing an ATS. In my mind, the next guy's throwing an ATS or has the capability of it. I'm not going to bet him based on what the 5 people in front of him did. That's just unfair to that person, number one, to
Right.
categorize in that way. But also, from a betting standpoint, I can't say to myself, PSO, 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 minimum bet, and no, and one number because I'm scared to death of what I just saw.
Like
You
you're gonna
can't
miss,
be
you would
like
miss
that.
it. Yeah, you're gonna miss the guy. Ooh, and I love the
You
way you
can't be
just
like that.
transitioned to that. But all right, so my next question, you talked about you could have 7s out the yin yang, and then the
Mhm.
very next person could throw an ATS.